stop complaining that Disney doesn't make original stories if you don't show up to movie theaters and support them in the first place.
Go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Disney were the pioneers of animation and storytelling long before any of us were even born. And Pixar became the first company to create a full-length film with computer graphics. But fast forward to 2025, it's the little guys called Sony Pictures Animation that feels like what A24 is to Hollywood nowadays. They break the rules of animations, and they're setting records with movie streaming and topping every musical chart globally.
About the animated K-pop phenomenon.
Topping the Billboard Hot 100, the first time a female group has done that since Destiny's Child in 2001.
And even with the amount of superhero fatigue that's going on, K-pop Demon Hunters is about to break the record by being the #1 most watched movie on Netflix. With a female superhero movie?
One movie, one weekend can change the entire outlook of the entire industry.
Because what Sony did with K-pop Demon Hunters just showed everyone in the industry. But more on that later. Because believe it or not, Disney and Pixar's been busy with creating non-stop remakes, trying to milk their audience for every penny they can get. 24 to be exact, with 6 more already planned or in production. I counted. And is it just me, or does it seem like everything they put out these days are just downright mid or miss? I mean, has Disney lost their magic touch? And doesn't the lamp in Pixar's intro stand for creativity and innovation? See, I remember when these big animation studios used to set the bar for what we call a great animated movie. That not only meant it had a good original story, but everything else in the movie had to be fire. The animations needed to look on point, and the soundtracks would get stuck in your head, sometimes for days, months, or even for life. And it's why these original icons deserve all the Oscars they've won. I mean, these were the guys who gave us a dirty sewer.
And the Oscar goes to Ratatouille.
Who became head chef in a 5-star Michelin restaurant in France. Or an alien dog who understands kids better than her own sister.
Dad said Ohana means family.
And then a chaotic family looking like Fantastic Four with better superpower.
The Oscar goes to The Incredibles.
To a robot recycling movie that won an Oscar with this kind of dialogue.
And the Oscar goes to WALL-E.
These all came from a place of creativity and imagination. It was a time when things were allowed to be weird and cringe, loud and in your face. Even their most basic ideas like talking cars or bugs trying to save their colonies never felt generic. In fact, it was full of life. But when looking at their original animations from the last 5 years, every single one of them have flopped. But when you compare them with Sony Pictures Animation, that's when you realize the tables have completely flipped. I mean, talk about starting a movie with girls stuffing their face to jumping off a plane, slaying demons in midair, and opening a sold-out concert in Korea's largest stadium.
Yeah, we just wanted to do stuff that, you know, off the wall and unbelievable,
Right.
but then be like, yes, this is the tone of the movie.
So instead of starting off with a boring origin story, they took the risk by taking the first scene of the movie and replacing that with
this idea that the song that the girls were performing in the first act, kind of their next single, was a kind of biopic, like a Biggie song like Juicy or something. It's basically a Zero to Hero story,
Right.
telling the story of who I am in song.
But it's only when you see the introduction of the Saja Boys do you notice how creative they got with the animations. Credit to director and creator Maggie Kang, who pushed the boundaries for humanizing the girls with their expressions.
I've worked on a lot of films where, you know, female characters are not really the silliest ones. There's like a fear to make them look ugly. And I really wanted to break all that and go for the silly faces, make the girls chug down food.
And thanks to her creative vision, we got stuff like Zoe doing the chibi gremlin and the anime comic book expressions, but now in an actual 3D animated movie. And knowing that K-pop Demon Hunters came from the same studio who did Spider-Verse, I thought the movie would take a lot of elements and influence from them. But nope, it looks nothing like Spider-Verse. Instead, they went with the technologies that stay true to the story, giving each scene the correct treatment to enhance and push the story forward. For example, The rooftop scene where Rumi and Genu meet, they went with
Alexa, that large format camera, and for the reason that it provides like a really big, like straight out of the box bokeh effects that gives you this really romantic look, which I feel like a lot of K-drama sensibility kind of leans into. Some of those like bokeh to kind of like soften everything out.
And to give a modern feel to the K-pop dance sequence,
we want to lean into like even the TikTok or the social media. When they do dances, they have their heads locked to the camera, you know, like all those tricks, like we want to kind of honor and also be mindful of K-pop music video sensibility.
And to make the fight scenes fluid, that's when your spider senses
Early
start
on,
tingling.
we realized that animating on twos was going to be a great solution for a couple of reasons.
Which was the same technique applied to the fight scenes in K-pop Demon Hunter.
You just watch it at speed. You're just immersed in the movie. You're not noticing all these things. They're really sneakily hidden in there. But if you pause and slow down the same footage, and you'll see only every other frame Miles is animated. That's what we're describing as on twos. You get that nice crispness, that pop art feel we're looking for. Almost every shot in the movie, the cameras are on ones. So we had to come up with all kinds of different technical solutions for how to make our performances with our characters on twos work with different styles of camera always on ones.
And this is how the animators make it easy for the audience to follow the action, even in fast fight situations like in the bathhouse scene. But the X factor in K-pop Demon Hunter for me was how well they pulled off female superheroes. Because if you watched any Disney or Marvel superhero movies lately, then you know how hard they're trying to deal with girl power. For example, in Avengers Endgame, check out how the director rounded up all the women and say,
"She's got help."
But in the scene following that, it's basically a 1 versus 1 between Captain Marvel and Thanos. Or how about in Mulan, where in the cartoon, she actually had to use her intelligence and think all night long about how to get on top of this obstacle. But in the live-action remake, they replaced it with her practicing Tai Chi at night. And somehow that translates to her being able to carry buckets of water in the morning? How? So how did K-pop Demon Hunter successfully deal with girl power then? Ardent Cho, the actress who voiced Rumi.
I sort of love sharing the difficult stages of my career. I love sharing, you know, maybe the harder times and
The struggles.
Right.
I was talking about this with
My mom, after an event or maybe even an article, she kept being like, you know, why are you talking about those things? Those are so embarrassing. You know, those are difficult times. Like, just talk about your success. And I was like, no, Mom, that's not embarrassing. That's what made me who I am today. That's a part of my story. And that's what makes me who I am.
girl power doesn't need to always have that 10 out of 10 superficial beauty, or be pitch perfect at all times, or have the need to always prove something to other people. It's okay to show your feelings and emotions, because they're human, just like you and me. And I like that Sony never held back on showing us how the girls actually feel.
I'm gonna throw
Like
up.
when they were secretly jealous of the Saja boys, but grooving to their soda pop at the same time. Or how much the girls love crashing on the couch and snacking before bedtime. Or how can they just let it all out around one another without the feeling of being judged.
I'm sorry. What?
Because it's when they learn to accept themselves to be who they are.
Because you feel that, right? You know, I feel like that's what it is. The demons represent whatever it may be that holds you back.
Real power comes from letting people be people. And that means girl power comes from letting girls be girls.
My favorite things about making this movie was making girls act like real girls and not just pristine superheroes.
Which is what creator Maggie Kang also had in mind.
Superhero women who were not only like badass and cool and sexy, but also silly and goofy, and we're making stupid faces, and just more relatable. So I saw an opportunity to showcase that kind of superhero.
And that's why in less than a month, it had reached #1 on Netflix in 41 countries, while hitting the top 10 in every other country. It's gotten over 200 million views in 2 months, and it's still #1 for the 9th week in a row. But what the directors never thought of was,
Guys, you guys are making a musical. And we're like, no, this is not a musical, it's just pop music. And we quickly realized, oh no, he was right. And
the K-pop of it all was actually the last ingredient added in, and it just naturally made it a bigger movie with the scale and spectacle, and made it a musical.
And like any good musical, K-pop Demon Hunter's music department opted to go with a story-first approach.
When you hear a song and you get that butterfly in your stomach, like, what is that? Like, that's the sort of magic of the movie. So I remember about 30 seconds into Golden, it just hit me like the full body chills. And that was kind of our benchmark. Like, if one of our songs did that, we're like, we're good.
In many animated films, music plays more of a background role. But in this film, the music, the story, and the emotions are all very well intertwined.
Sony partnered with heavy hitters in the industry like Teddy Park, JYP, Republic Records, and Grammy-winning producers who've made songs for Blackpink, BTS, Twice, Drake, and many more.
The film really captures the energy, passion, and the connection K-pop has with its fans.
And the team they put together ended up creating 30+ songs that are fun, catchy, creative, but story-driven. But the payoff on the music side almost eclipsed the success of the movie. Half of the songs on the album took up most of the spot on the top 10 list of Spotify Global, beating Blackpink's all-time records.
Hitting #1 is absolutely crazy. I cried all day.
Even the Saja Boys took over BTS with the song Your Idol as the highest grossing male K-pop group in Spotify history.
We became students of K-pop. The skill of the music, the performers, the look. It takes incredible talent and expertise to do that.
And Huntrix's song Golden is now #1 on the Billboard 100, making it the highest fictional charting soundtrack of the year since Encanto in 2022. EJ, who did the singing voice of Rumi, said this.
Because writing songs is very personal. It can feel like you're showing people your diary, or even melodically or anything.
But it wasn't just about the music. The icing on the cake was the layering of Korean culture on top of what they created.
Grounding the lore in something that exists in our culture and has existed in our culture for hundreds and hundreds of years really let us just show more aspects of our culture.
And by pulling influences from their roots was how they're able to create something that's so unique, expressive, and super original.
It pays so much homage to the Korean culture, from the food, the streets in Gangnam. Everything is so perfect.
There's a really great ecosystem and Korean talent all coming together to create something very unique.
Beyond the outfits, snacks, and locations, the details that went into other places like the underworld and the Korea from the past all pay tribute as an homage to Korean society as a whole.
Once we really grounded the mythology into Korean shamanism, it really opened up this opportunity to feature so many different eras of Korea.
We really wanted to immerse the world in K-pop, but also stay authentically Korean.
The more complex the characters are, the more built out the world is, the more you're able to buy into that these are real people with real problems in life.
But it's when you put all this together, do you start to realize that the power of the movie lies in the way it embraces the emotions, the culture, and the people inside of it.
This film reminds people that we all have darkness within us, and that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is to just face it. So I hope it offers comfort and courage to those who actually really need it.
It's true to its own identity and never wanted to copy any of its predecessors. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.